Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is the first episode in a while, and I have a special guest, Mandy Katte. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, it's good to be here. Happy to be your comeback episode.
I love it. And
No
Mandy, for those that
pressure.
are listening, where are you from?
So I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've been here since the second grade, so this is my home.
I love that. Since the second grade. And how long have you been in the real estate industry?
I have been in real estate. My entire time has been with Keller Williams, and it's been just over 7 years.
Awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do a better job bragging about you than I think you would. So I will take over from here and introduce Mandy officially to the podcast. Mandy is a Keller Williams recruiting black belt and seasoned team leader with over 7 years of experience helping real estate professionals grow with purpose and intention. In 2024 alone, Mandy recruited over 1 million in company dollar revenue, finishing the year with 181 gross recruits and over 700,000 net. Results earning not only through rigid systems, but through authenticity, adaptability, and a relentless focus on value. Known for the mantra, recruit, retain, and repeat, Mandy has built a reputation around three pillars: an exceptional reputation, an elevated associate experience, and engaged communities. Her recruiting philosophy is built on a simple three-step process: get the appointment, win the appointment, close, and transition. Paired with, of course, service standard inspired by Ritz-Carlton, the immersive experience of Disney, and the intentionality of Hermes. Beyond the numbers, Mandy is a mom of two young children, a leader who embraces the messiness of real life, and someone who believes chaos calls still counts. She leads with authenticity, competitiveness, and a servant's heart, proving that growth isn't about perfect time blocks. It's about consistent action, genuine care, and creating an environment people never want to leave. Mandy, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. Let's do
I
it.
love it. Awesome. Well, kick me off. I mean, you crushed it in 2024. Tell me with that success, what do you attribute that kind of success to? Because I'm sure that's what everybody who's listening to is thinking. That is a lot of recruiting and growth within your brokerage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that one thing that sets me apart, and every business owner might hate me for this, is the opposite of kind of what we always talk about. What sets me apart is not that I'm religiously making 20 dials a day or that I'm time blocking, with 2 hours. It's every morning I'm not getting on there and smiling and dialing. The truth is that this job really is, quite frankly, messy. It's messier than that, and it's really hard to kind of stick to that. I'm a mom, like you said, of a 2 and a 4-year-old, and I've battled postpartum depression. I've had anxiety. I struggle in big groups, and I've had challenges that come with just being human. So instead of just saying I need to call for 2 hours, I just say I need to call to set 2 appointments. And that's the metric that matters. And I tell myself that, like, chaos calls still count is something I always tell myself, and that done is better than perfect. This role really has to work with your life if you're going to stick with it.
Oh, there were so many golden nuggets I just want to highlight. One, I appreciate the vulnerability and transparency. I too have struggled with anxiety on and off for as long as I can remember. And though sometimes I think it's a driving factor in my business, really great therapy would show me it's not why I'm successful.
Yes.
I'm actually able to slow down, and I see so many different strategic gaps. If you don't mind me asking, how has anxiety impacted you in this industry and in this role?
Yeah, and having been in it for 7 years, it used to be that I was forcing myself into the mold. There's so many systems that we're taught, and the numbers will always be the numbers, right? Like, I do believe in the math behind them, but sometimes we have to look at the results and not the activities. And we're all so different that the way we can get those results is different. So for me, time blocking is never going to work with my ADHD brain, but my competitiveness is what I call my superpower. So I make a game out of it. How fast can I set 2 capper appointments today? And what channels am I going to use to do that? So instead of being like, oh, I got to get in, I'm calling from 9 to 11, it's like, no, I'll call until I make 2 capper appointments. And then, like, I'll go get myself a Starbucks because, like, I earned it and I did it. Or I'll go pick up my kids early and we'll go to the park. And once I get the appointment, I really treat every appointment as if it's a transition meeting. I'm always focused on the close. So I don't see it as just like a one step in the process. I really see it as the start of that relationship. And I do always say that it's not about perfect systems because like I'm not even going to remember a system. Like that's just not me. It's about consistent closes. So not about consistent systems, it's about consistent closes. So that's something that I really try to shift my mindset around.
One thing that you just said that I'm sure every single person in on this, listening on this call is thinking, oh my gosh, that is a huge takeaway. You actually treat every appointment as a transition appointment,
Hmm.
which when you do that, inevitably you're going to get to the close because you're already setting yourself up with that intention.
Hmm.
Let me ask you, how many people have told you you're pushy in this role?
No one.
Hmm. Fascinating, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
People listening who are afraid to close on the call because they don't want to be seen as pushy or a used car salesman is when we hear in our industry all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Right.
who are you doing a disservice to by not closing that?
Yeah. And honestly, Alexis, like my mindset on that is I'm not wasting their time.
Mm,
I'm cutting to the chase on why I'm calling, and they're going to thank me that I'm not like beating around the bush on it and they can get off the phone faster. And I also respect that, after they say no a few times, but like then right? Like I love knowing where I stand with people. And I truthfully have found that they really respect that too. And if they're telling me no 3 times, I always end it with, can I follow up with you in a month or two? And if it's still no, great. I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the closing table. Thank you for being such a reputable person in our environment, you know? And then they respect that instead of just being like, oh, but like, come on, I promise you're not wasting my time. Like, for real, it's going to be so fun. I'll pick up the tab. Like, no, they don't care. Like, cut to it.
yeah. No, I love that. There's so many golden nuggets already. We do have a couple, quite a few listeners, I should say, outside of KW. You've mentioned
Hmm.
a few Keller Williams terms. For those that might not have that experience, you guys have 463 agents at your brokerage. So you are running a mega team, essentially, for the realtors listening on this call with over 463 people on your team. And
Hmm.
you mentioned the vernacular black belt in 2024. I know what that means. Why don't you tell the listeners what that means for those that are not familiar, or maybe even new to KW who are listening?
Yeah, what is it? Is it gross 100? Is that
Mhm.
what it is? I'm not even positive. It's adding 100 agents in one 12-month period.
Mhm.
So that was something that I always saw as something I wanted to obtain, and it was just felt like a big nod to, well, check on the resume. So,
I love it. And for those that are listening, not a lot of team leaders within KW. There's over 1,000 market centers, and there's not a whole lot of people that get that award on an annual basis. So I mean, it's a big deal. It's a real big deal, especially with over 700,000 in net, right? So recruited in, it looks like.
yep, we
So
added Yeah, that's year to date. We did add in 1 million in profit last year for 2024. So that was incredible. And we are on pace this year based on our pipeline to supersede that. So, and I think a lot of that just comes from going for the close and continuing to move on. One thing that someone told me once was you're going to catch more fish with a net than with a pole, and like kind of that going wide mentality. And, for my first few years in the role, I would have 3 really great meetings and I would just focus on those 3 people. Like, how do I get like those 3 people to join? And like, they're so close. And like, I would just sit there and stew on it instead of just moving on and like getting 3 more people. And I think that like that going wide idea and just continuing to like be in relationship with the first 3, sometimes it takes years. Like, you just want to be there and be the person who, when their current brokerage pisses them off, that then they're going to call you. So like having that kind of idea of not forcing the relationship, but staying in relationship
yeah.
was really helpful.
Oh, amen to that.
Mhm.
Listen closely there because I can't tell you how often when I'm working with leaders, it's well, I've got 2 or 3 in the pipeline. I've got 2 or 3 in the pipeline.
Yes.
Well, 50% of those are going to fall off. So where's our
Mhm.
7 to 15 in the pipeline, right? So I love that. You said
And
something.
I think it does go back to, I think what people need to know about me too is like, I had to be that way. And I say that because I don't have my real estate license.
Hmm.
I have never helped someone buy a home. I have never helped someone sell a home. You talk about dirty car salesman. That was me. I was working in the car dealership when I met KW and met real estate by selling a car to a realtor over the phone. And that was kind of my foray into real estate. So for me, I started essentially answering the phone 7 years ago and just studied all those that were around me. And then when I started meeting with, top producers in the Milwaukee market, and I'm learning from people who've come before me and have done the job really well, and they're teaching me about the needs analysis and how important it is to coach top people and all of these things. And I spent a lot of time for years trying to be a coach to the top people. And I wasn't getting anywhere very fast. Like I found I was great at R1s and great at R0s who didn't know real estate because I felt like I could speak that language. For
Mhm.
me, the shift came when I realized and started to understand the math, and that a realtor who's selling 10 million hardly has enough money to live the life that they want to live if they have kids and are living in the communities in which my market center and my brokerage office serves. So when I realized that, and I got out of my mind of this is a $10 million producer or even a $20 million producer, it's like they need help. And I do believe in the systems and models and the culture environment that I'm going to put them in. And if they need something, hell, I'm going to figure it out because I have the resources. So it's kind of this shift. And I've talked to you about this of like, I don't need to be the librarian. I just need to be the library. I just need to find them the resource and be scrappy, which is something I can do, and I can be humble with them. I don't know that. And I'm not going to be the best person to answer that for you, but you bet your ass I'm going to find out who is all across the country, and we're going to connect you with that resource. So I think when I realized I didn't have to know it all, it was like, oh, I just have to let them know that I'm going to fight for them and I'm going to figure it out for
Oh, so good, Mandy. It's so funny because that's what I was going to say on our very first call when we had the opportunity of getting to know each other a little bit better. I had literally wrote it down on my notes and I'm looking at it. It is
them.
literally focused on being the librarian and not the library. And for me, even that hit home because how many of us have gotten into the mindset of like, oh, I'm not qualified. I can't be
Hmm.
to talk to that person. I remember when I coached my first $100 million producer, and I was like, well, I only make X a year. I've never sold 100 million in volume. And
Hmm.
just like you, when you look at as business, and there are the strategies, the systems, and the tools that help business owners grow and develop, regardless of the industry, a good coach and consultant can help people come to the realization that they have gaps in their business. And as long as you can attract them to the right environment, culture, and models, again, we would be doing anybody a disservice by not encouraging them to sit down in front of us.
Right. And like, don't you personally love it when you ask someone a question and instead of them like blowing smoke up, like they're just like, let me find out who's the expert at that, and I'm going to do some research and get back to you. We think we need to have the answers all the time. And it's like, everyone knows we don't have them. So just be someone they can trust by saying, I have an idea, but I'm going to double check that and I'll give you a call back. How soon do you need to know by? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, wow, cool. It's
Build.
human.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. What's a piece of advice that you've received in this role, in this industry, leading as many people as you have, recruiting, growing a business that you ultimately cannot live without?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to get this piece of advice very early on. And the best piece of advice I got was to protect my superior, protect their time. Your job is to protect their time. And it really shaped me that I always saw my OP or my manager as Batman, and I looked at myself as Robin. And I took that role very seriously. I was very comfortable in the shadows, protecting his time, doing whatever needed to be done, whether that was processing commissions when that person went out and had a baby, whether it was taking out the garbage after we had an event, sitting at the front desk. I grew in the shadows until I really basically was forced to step into the Batman role myself. And it really taught me something huge. It taught me that leadership really isn't about needing the spotlight. It's about serving first and growing through the work behind the scenes.
Mm.
And, another piece of advice I got is that is to be the last person to speak. I love the advice, be the last person to speak. When you listen first, not only are you giving other people a place to contribute, but it gives you time to then think about what you were going to say and make it even more impactful. So I love the idea of being the last one to speak. Leadership is about being humble enough to serve in the shadows and wise enough to listen before you lead. And those two pieces of advice have been really great for me.
So instrumental, again, regardless of the industry, but I think in real estate in particular, for our agents listening, it's with buyers and sellers. I mean, how many
Hmm. Hmm.
times do agents just come in full force, prescribe, share their perspective, bombard buyers and sellers, when in reality it's just asking those powerful questions, and like you said, listening first, speaking last.
Yeah, we're taught by society that the way we provide value is by speaking and doing. And it's like so many times when I'm speaking to other people, I self-realize and have conclusions on my own. And for someone to give you the space to do that is worth its weight. I mean, that's sometimes just enough.
I totally agree. I love that. You also mentioned the word servant leader in that. And I know you to be a servant leader. When, again, one of our first conversations, you had mentioned living by the motto, bring your problems to work so your team can help you solve them, which I personally
Hmm.
love. And I don't think we have enough of that. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that and now how you live through that motto with your own team.
Yeah, yeah, that motto was so opposite in the way in which I was raised. My dad raised us and said, you go to work, you clock in, you do the job, you clock out, and you go home. You don't bring any problems to work. That's how you get ahead in life. And I did that everywhere else. And when your job is to serve others, whether you're in an agent role serving your clients, whether you're in a leadership role serving your agents, those aren't the people you're bringing your problems to. You're bringing your problems to your tribe, which for me in leadership is my team. And I have to thank, my partner Charlie Stale, who that's been his motto and what he's always taught us. And I would show up and I'd be like, I'm great, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And he's like, Gotti, you're not. What's going on? Let me fix you because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I couldn't believe that he was open to hearing my problems so that he could help connect me with people who could help me or, whatever it might have been, whether it was right after having new kids and I just like needed a minute or like whether it was like I actually needed a service, like a cleaning lady. He helped me then be like, you need to leverage that off or, you know, life and work is so intertwined and you have to be willing to be vulnerable so that you can show up because it is servant leadership. And if you're not feeling like you can help others, it's not going to work. So let those who are around you help you. And then when he has problems, we always say like when he's up, I'm down. And when he's down, I'm up. And it's like, great. As long as we're not both down, like we can run this show all day long. So there's always people who want to help. You got to let them help and you got to bring your problems to work.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, that alone is such
Hmm.
a gift and such a shift in mindset for probably at least myself, but I can imagine so many people listening. Bringing your problems to work, allowing those in your tribe to bring their problems to work so that they can pour from a full cup. I cannot tell you how many environments I've personally worked in, even long before Keller Williams, and I've been with the company for over a decade now. And it's usually such a taboo topic where it's like you said, your dad raised you. Leave
Yeah.
the problems at the door. Don't bombard your team. Don't share whatever that might be. And that's something for me that is one of my biggest takeaways in talking to you and how I've actually started to come and lead as well. I've got people who have worked for me, work for me, who are going through all sorts of things, new babies, divorces,
Hmm.
all the things. And it's like, you can't, are you okay? How
Yeah,
are you doing? And making
really.
sure, right? They're an extension of us, just like you were an
Hmm.
extension of your, like you said, higher ups for so long. I love that. I,
Yeah, and I mean, people on my team then knew when I was having a bad day, and what that showed them was it's okay to be a person of leadership who's respected and have problems at a bad day and be vulnerable and seek help, whether it be internally or externally in terms of therapists or dietitians or whatever it might be. It's like, put it on the table. Let's go. We're all imperfect in so many ways. And I think when you're a leader and you can be imperfect and vulnerable, it allows your team to actually have more respect for you instead of just pretending that everything is sunshine and rainbows.
Well, and you're in a role now for 7 years where there's a high level of turnover. So, for those that are listening and they're leading people and are struggling with retention of your own tribe and your own team, this might be some food for thought for you, right? Whether you're running
Hmm.
a mega team, you're running a small real estate team, a brokerage, whatever that might be. I think that that's something to be said as well.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so tell me with that, what is the biggest challenge, right? It's all rainbows and butterflies, I always say, right? Yeah, of
Yes.
course. You're overseeing almost 500 agents. What's the biggest challenge you've had in this role? And please share with those still listening how you've overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was definitely 2020, and not for the reasons it was hard for so many people. 2020 was actually the year Compass rolled into Milwaukee.
Mm,
And for a long time, we didn't have like a new player. We didn't have like a big disruptor. We've since had a lot more now, with some other people who've rolled in, but Compass coming in 2020, 2021 really, really was difficult. They were offering our top agents, we have a lot of top agents in the MLS, they were offering them checks of a half a million to plus in cash to take. And we could not and would not compete by writing checks. On the surface, for us, it looked like people were leaving for something better. But what we realized was that they weren't leaving for something more costly,
mm.
they were leaving for something that felt more expensive in a sense, of value and brand and experience. And that really forced us to take a good hard look in the mirror at what we were saying was our value proposition. And a big part came from, studying some brands that you mentioned in my bio. We started studying the Ritz-Carlton. We started studying Disney. There was a 90-minute segment that we watched as a team that was done on the brand Hermes, and it taught us the difference between costly and expensive. And expensive is about craftsmanship and intentionality, where expensive is just about price. So people will pay for expensive, they're not going to pay for costly. So the Ritz Carlton just showed us how we needed to be white glove. We really needed to start paying attention to the personalized services and experience. And Disney really reminded us that experience matters. People want to feel a part of something bigger and something magical. Compass was way more expensive than us. They're no cap, they're pricey, and everyone was leaving. So it wasn't about price. It was definitely about value. So we really leaned into that. We built out a full marketing concierge. We built out a website. We launched a YouTube channel to amplify the agents' voices and focused on delivering that Ritz-Carlton level of service. We started offering still water and sparkling water. And, if someone had to go to the bathroom, we noticed the Ritz-Carlton, they don't tell you it's a left, and a right. They come around the corner and they say, let me show you. So if
Mhm.
you walk into any of our market centers, you are offered water. They are walking you to the bathroom. And we started just telling our story a little bit louder and a little bit prouder, because we also found that they were doing that really well. They were telling the stories and we weren't telling them. So it was actually like we always say that year made us so much better. We're grateful for it now. The challenge taught us, you don't win by being the cheapest. You win by creating an experience so valuable that people wouldn't dream of leaving it. And our whole team lives and operates. Our mission statement is to provide a Ritz-Carlton level of service with a Disney-like experience. And we talk about it every single day.
I love that. What an incredible story, and how you guys overcame that challenge. I mean, realistically, we talk as business owners and just as people often that we grow the most from challenges. And that is exactly what I mean, it doesn't sound like you guys would be as successful as you are had the new shiny object come in and show you guys you need to shake up what you're doing because it worked for so long and now it
Yeah,
doesn't.
we had gotten lazy for sure. We were saying we were providing marketing, but it was with an ad hoc company that wasn't even in our, local market.
Well, Mandy, last but not least, for people that are still with us, what is a piece of advice that you would give to another team leader, CEO, OP, just leader of a real estate team or organization today?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and you've heard it throughout this whole conversation, it's really just to lean into your superpower. Like, figure out what it is. You said there's so many people that don't make it. And I think it's just because you're trying to do what everybody else is doing. Keep it simple and don't forget to enjoy the work because if it doesn't work for your life, you won't stick with it. I tell my team all the time, don't overcomplicate it. We are not saving lives. Like as much as we want to think we are not. We know how easy it is to get caught up in wanting the perfect script or the perfect system and chasing the perfect plan. But what I've learned is that growth really comes from being consistent, being authentic, and making the work sustainable for your life. So for me, it's get the appointment, win the appointment, close the transition. Just focus on those three things, and it's simple and it works, and it does because it's authentic to me. I'd encourage other leaders to find their own version of that and play into their superhero and not someone else's.
I could not have said it better myself. And you sure have leaned into your superpower, and you do an incredible job, might I add, at leveraging the rest, as we should as leaders. We get farther together than separate, right? On our own.
Absolutely.
Right. And you have done an incredible job at that. You guys have built an incredible brokerage in Milwaukee and so many more wins and successes to come. Thank you, Mandy, for being with us and teaching those around us how to build a legacy and empire through real estate. You are absolutely
Yes.
crushing it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Chat soon.